Party Patriots. We're going to have a series of, again, these outside organizations, and we're going to talk a lot more about outside organizations, outside infrastructure, why it matters, why it's important. Because there are resources in organizations doing so much, and you've just never heard about it. And that's crazy to me. It's crazy. I heard people say, crazy, yeah. Yeah. Down in Arizona, we call it loco. It's loco. Here in Nevada, I think we can call it loco too. I'm really privileged to introduce great friends to the movement. A couple different reasons why. Most people aren't even aware of the great work that America First Works does. And some of us are, because we're in states where they're super present and super actively involved. They have so many resources. This is the C4 arm to America First Policy Institute. And I've had the privilege to get to know Ashley Hayek, who was in charge of the coalition's development. So you may have come across Ashley, if you remember, when she was working for the president's campaign in 2020 and did a tremendous job at starting to build infrastructure. But even the conversations I had with Ashley, she was like, oh my goodness, nothing's been built. No one's done any of this work. You know, we have such a need to build all this. And so taking her expertise and joining in America First Works, I've also been so delighted to get to know who I call the governor of upstate New York, at least he should be, Lee Zeldin, who's done incredible work there. Brooke Rollins, who was in the White House with President Trump, who has been such an advocate. Linda McMahon, so they'll get into it, they'll talk about it. But one other young lady who I've gotten to know for many years now, who was a former student body president in Florida who had intersected with Turning Point at an early time, who's going to be presenting. Her name is Sammy Mims. So give it up for America First Works.
How is everybody? All right, so like Tyler said, my name's Sammy Mims. I'm the former data director for President Trump, and I can honestly say serving the president, especially at a young age, was truly an honor of a lifetime. But one of the things that we learned, especially on the data infrastructure side, that we built something truly incredible. But the one thing that's, kind of the downfall of a lot of campaigns is they have an end date. They eventually end, and all of that hard work that we put in, and not just we on the campaign side, but all of our great staff and volunteers, it kind of goes away. And so here at America First Works and America First Policy Institute, we said, we need something that will outlast a campaign, something that is truly 100 years play. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that looks like today, but here we're going to talk about why that matters. So for so long, the left has dominated the technology, the media, and the data front. Well, I'm here to tell you that those days are over. Those days are over, and as you've heard already today, there are so many organizations coming together truly for the first time, especially on the conservative side of the aisle. Never before have we seen groups like Turning Point Action, like AMAC, like Tea Party Patriots come together and say, you know what, instead of working in our silos, we're going to be working together, because if we all work in silos, we're going to keep seeing the results that we've seen for the past 4 years. And I don't know about you, but back in 2016, I had a lot better life than I do today. So data is important, and one of the things that we found at America First Works is we're dealing with new electoral populations. For example, we're in Clark County, Nevada. So what worked in the past in Clark County, Nevada isn't necessarily going to work today, and why is that? 2 out of every 5 Hispanics in Clark County, Nevada, guess how old they are? They're under the age of 35. 52% of all Hispanics in Clark County registered to vote after the 2016 election. So these are things that you need to know, and Brian will talk about that in here in a second about our Project 19. Do you want to take it away?
Sure. Thank you, Sam. By the way, can I just say everyone say thank you to Sam. This is one of my new favorite people on the planet. Thank you, Sam. As the immediate past executive director of the state of Georgia, I've got a couple of friends from Georgia here. I saw a couple of you guys. There you are. We had some very interesting difficulties, and one of the biggest problems that I had, especially at the state party, was just getting good data. And I think having data consistently throughout election cycle after election cycle is one of the main reasons that they kind of stole me from the state of Georgia, because I love Georgia. Unfortunately, I'm in the bigger swamp now. I know the Okefenokee in Georgia is the world's largest swamp. This is some Georgia trivia for you guys. But I think the bigger swamp is actually in D.C. I think you all can agree with that. So one of the coolest things about AFW and AFPI, you see some of our familiar faces here. Ashley Hayek is in the middle there. Brooke Rollins at the front, who's our CEO. She was the domestic policy chief for Mr. Trump during the administration. Linda McMahon, who is the secretary for the SBA, Small Business Administration. And then, as you heard earlier, Lee Zeldin, we brought him on as the chairman for our Project 19, which, how many of you guys know in this room how many counties are in the state, or excuse me, in the nation? And if Brant Frost is in the room, you're not allowed to answer this question. How many? 3,000, it's over 3,100. How many of those do you think will actually make a difference? And I'm not saying that they won't all play a huge critical part, but we've decided, or we've found that there's only 19 of those counties that can swing this next upcoming election. 19. Now, we need those counties in other districts that we still need to get that red meat, those red voters that come out, those hard R's that come out for conservatives. The Democrats do the exact same thing. But if we get just, I think it's 2%. She's the data person. Don't look at me.
0.9%. 0.9% in those 19 counties.
Sorry, thank you. So this is why I need her. She gives me targets, and I go hit them. I'm the bull. I don't believe in zodiac signs, but I'm definitely a Taurus. I see red, go for it. So thankfully, she helps direct me on which red flags I need to go after.
That's why he's Republican.
We are a nonpartisan now, I think, legally. But anyways. Anyways, so like Sam was saying earlier, we need to have consistency through and through election cycles, whether it be legislative cycles in the state houses. There's a lot of different battlegrounds. A lot of you guys are county chairs, and God bless you. So every time I talk to county chair, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I know firsthand how much it takes to do this job. It is not a fun job. There's a state party chairman over here, Mr. Josh. Thank you for all you do, and all the other ones from Georgia. And the rest of you guys, I know it's a thankless job. So what we want to do is partner with you guys and other local activists on being able to provide you guys with resources. You heard, we've been talking with Tea Party Patriots earlier. They've got these fantastic meeting boxes. I think that's a fantastic idea. I think you should definitely check those guys out. We've also got what we call, sorry, these are some of our counties. I'm kind of messing around. Sorry, there's a 4 a.m. flight this morning, so apologies. And I just got one bite to lunch. We're targeting these 19 counties. You could probably guess what states they're in. Like Sam said, Clark County here in Nevada, Maricopa in Arizona, Pennsylvania, Duval County in Florida. I saw a familiar face from there. Nice to meet you. Georgia, we've got three counties in Georgia. Now, we don't have to necessarily win these counties, but if we do change the vote goals, or sorry, not vote goals, if we change the sentiment by 0.9%, getting better, hopefully there's not too many lawyers here. If we move it by just 0.9%, I think that totals up to 76,000 votes.
Yeah. So, for example, we like to look at, for example, no one really talks about the black vote in Maricopa County. It's not a huge population like white voters or Hispanic voters, but from 2016 to 2020, black Democrats increased by, I think, about 500, where black Democrats increased by, 12,000 votes. How many votes did we lose the state of Arizona by? And so we like to say elections are like football. They're a game of inches. And so every inch matters. So in places like Fulton County will always be Fulton County. But we need to make inroads, and we can't be afraid, because a lot of these people, Lee Zeldin is a perfect example. He went into the Bronx, and guess what? We actually have a non-Democrat city councilman representing the Bronx, because guess what? These people are hungry for the America First promise. They're hungry for the America First agenda, because guess what? As we discovered before, America First works. We've seen it. And these people are hungry. So I encourage you, just because you may be in, a non-super red county, or you may be a little discouraged with registration numbers, go out, talk to people. It's important, because every inch matters.
One of the ways that we do that is by, so AFPI is our parent C3 organization. What they have done is they've found that these A1 policies that you see up on the screen are all 80% policies. My favorite one is the first one, make the greatest economy in the world work for all Americans. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Now that sounds like it's very, very one-sided, but it also goes across, it transcends different demographic groups, different political parties. These are all 10 policy pillars that we can use when we're talking to folks that maybe they're independent, maybe they are hardcore one way or the other. It could be left or right, but 80% of Americans actually agree with these 10 policy pillars. So what we're doing is taking these policy pillars and driving them down into talking points that we provide to local grassroots organizations. One of the most surprising ones, and correct me if I'm wrong, I went to the University of Georgia, not a math school, so I apologize. Go Dogs. Got a couple friends here. I think it's 77% of African American females agree with, I think it's on here, one of these points, they agree with banning transgender modification surgeries. Now that's a black demographic that 77% agree with one of our policies that I think everyone in this room should be agreeing with, otherwise I'm in the wrong room. Okay. Now that's something that we can start these conversations with, and we may be a nonpartisan group, but that gives us a great lane to talk to folks, whether they be at the grocery store, whether it be on social media, whether they be just our friends and family. One of the craziest stats I've seen is that over 80% of Americans don't believe the mainstream news. What does that mean? That they actually believe news that comes from their friends and families. Brings me to my next slide. What is a neighborhood activist? So what we're doing is we're providing neighborhood activists with supplemental talking points and messaging that they can actually use while they're door knocking, while they're making phone calls, and while they're going to the grocery store, and while they're on social
So Turning Point
media,
Action, in your packet here, we have staff across the states. Our hope is that we're not the only ones. You'll see throughout the course of today in the conversation that we're going to have with one another, we need 50 organizations like what we're doing outside of the Republican apparatus that need to uplift everything that you are doing in your county. How nice would it be if you were able to rely on 50 organizations to be able to get the work done meanwhile you're able to do the perfunctory things, the things that you know you have to do that only you know, because nobody knows this.
Exactly. So why do we call it neighborhood activists? One, I just said it a few minutes ago, people trust their neighbors and their friends and family when it comes to the news. So what do we want to do? We want to be able to provide you guys and your counties and your groups with the right messaging. We've got a whole team, and we've got fantastic rock stars like Sam that can dig into this data and figure out who to target in these areas. We can drill it down to the precinct level as well.
Yeah, so one of the great things that we're building here at AFW and with our partner organizations is our neighborhood activist program. But why does that matter? Has anyone heard of the organization called Greenfly? Probably not. It gets millions and millions of dollars every year by George Soros, the Democratic National Committee.
So Turning Point Action, in your packet here, we have staff across the states. Our hope is that we're not the only ones.
Weird.
You'll see throughout
how those messages turn out on social media. But the real promise is that hope is not lost. So we have a plan. So one of our messaging training program examples is we all want to build the wall, right? Well, build the wall is about a 50-50 issue. I don't think that surprises many of. I hope those numbers improve. But when you say finish the wall, secure the border, and defeat the drug cartels, that is an 80% issue. So it's important about how it's phrased, how you talk about it, and who you talk about it to. Because guess what? That mom in Pennsylvania whose child unfortunately died of fentanyl poisoning, she didn't support the wall, but she didn't connect fentanyl and the wall. She didn't connect Joe Biden, getting rid of the Remain in Mexico policy to her child dying of fentanyl poisoning. It's unfortunate. But when you make those connections for people, they start to paint the picture. And, unfortunately, when we welcome 300,000 illegal immigrants every month, people are starting to wake up to that. So finish the wall, secure the border, defeat the drug cartels. That's just one of our examples that we do. We also produce social media posts for people. So every day we have our Telegram channel. We send out talking points so you guys know what to talk about. We'll send out graphics because we don't want our logos on graphics. If you guys want to put your county logo on a graphic, great. That's the importance, is we're sharing the message. It's not America First Works message. It's just an America First message. And so we're trying to spread it far and wide. So if you guys go to americafirstworks.com/neighbor, you can sign up for our program. We'd love to come to your county and talk about it. Whether it's myself, Ryan, Ashley, Lee Zeldin, General Kellogg, you guys probably see him on Fox News. We just have so many great principals here at AFPI and AFW that we'd love to come in our free time, in our personal capacities, to help spread our message. So I'll give it back to Ryan.
You have free time? She's lying.
I do teach at a university sometimes, so just don't hold that against me.
I told you she was really smart. In addition to Neighborhood Activist Program, we also have, under the Project 19 umbrella, we also have a lot of coalitions that we are also supporting. You heard it this morning, I think as I came in, I heard someone talking about churches. Churches are huge for getting the messaging out. I think it's, again,